Hello and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm making the character David from the awesome 80s movie The Lost Boys, of course played by Kiefer Sutherland. So to start things off, I'm going to work on David's head with FIMO Professional Polymer clay. And I've mentioned a few times that I really like to start the project with a head, just so that I can get a sense of who I'm working with. And this one's particularly difficult because I've decided to work with David as a vampire. So of course Kiefer doesn't really look like Kiefer as this character because he wears a lot of prosthetics. So I'm just going to make my interpretation of the character really. So if it happens to look a little bit like Kiefer at the end, then that will be a bonus. And I've just thought, actually, I don't think it's a spoiler that I'm working on David as a vampire, because I think anybody that hasn't seen Lost Boys will know it's a vampire movie. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that I knew that he was a vampire before I saw it, but you know, that was years ago, so apologies anyway if you happen to watch Lost Boys and you think, oh wow, he's a vampire, is he? Yep, he is. So it was really, really massive, this movie, The Lost Boys, in the 80s. I certainly remember, you know, promo for this movie was kind of all over the place really, but it's kind of timeless really. It's got a real quality to it, other than the, you know, quintessential 80s saxophone music. So the head's coming together pretty well now. So he's got a little earring, so that it evokes the character a little more. And I need to work on some actual feet on this project. Usually I just work with shoes really, so it's quite interesting. And yeah, just a little difference this time around to work on feet with some horrible old nails on them. And they're probably slightly oversized, but you know, it doesn't matter too much because you know, it's all about character design at the end of the day, isn't it? It's not intended to be a sort of wholly figurative model. And I'll just put some detail on there. So I can work on the base now, and I'm going to work in vampiric black, I think. So I've been looking up a few facts about Lost Boys, and Kiefer Sutherland, interestingly, has the fewest lines of dialogue for any character in the film, or any main character in the film, which is it's really interesting actually, because he's certainly the first character that I think of whenever I think about the film Lost Boys. Obviously Michael is you know, the protagonist of the film, but you know, for me Kiefer really kind of evokes the whole film, because it's obviously very memorable in the role, considering, yeah, he didn't talk very much. And The Lost Boys is the film where the two Coreys met, I believe. That's of course Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, and I believe they went on to make a total of 9 films together, but according to my research, this was the first that they worked on together and became firm friends as a result. I really enjoyed watching the documentary series a few years ago called The Two Coreys. Basically, Corey Haim lodged with Corey Feldman and his wife for a while, or certainly for the duration of the documentary. And what a character. Such a shame, you know, he's no longer with us, but he was huge in the 80s, a very big character. So here I'm working on David's eyes, and I'm going to give him some orange irises. And apparently the contact lenses were made of quite thick glass, you know, we're going back to the 80s for this film, so it wasn't at all possible to work with CGI for various effects, so everything was kind of raw. So now I need to give David or Kiefer some stubble. So I need to basically add on a load of clay in order to take it off, really. It's not as easy actually as it looks to make stubble, so yeah, it took about an hour, this part actually. So The Lost Boys is hugely influential as a film, and not least for Joss Whedon, because he names it as one of the big influences on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I think you can certainly see it in Buffy's DNA actually. It's quite interesting, I think. So in other news, and following on from last week's video I believe, I mentioned the Secret 7 project. Sees 700 artists create unique 7-inch vinyl record sleeves for essentially a charitable project, and there's an exhibition on at the moment showing all the sleeves in London on the Greenwich Peninsula, and that's at the Now Gallery. But you can also see the sleeves online at secret7.com, I think it is, but I'll leave that link below. But all these sleeves have now been added to eBay as auctions, so you can go and have a look and yeah, go and bid on your favourite really. So again, I'll leave that linked below, but it's been a really interesting project to take part in, and there's some really beautiful work in the gallery. There's some really well-known artists taking part, as well as emerging artists and mid-level career artists as well. So the name of the game is really to try and match up the sleeves with the artists, because they're not actually revealed until after the auction ends, which I believe is this Sunday night. So yeah, go and see how many you can guess, and by all means go and see if you can spot the Clay Disarray piece in there as well. So David is wearing a combination of a jacket and a coat, because vampires get really cold, don't you know? So yeah, this might be a little fiddly, but I'll see how I get on. So the grey that I'm working with for his inner coats or his inner jacket, I've left kind of marbleized really in its design, just to add a little bit of texture. And yeah, just adding a black overcoat here. And now I can work on his hands, and I'll need to do a similar thing to his feet actually. Just try and sort of age them and add some yeah, horrible old long nails really. So I'm slowly but surely working on my Big Cartel store, and in case you're not aware, basically I'm moving my store from Etsy to Big Cartel, and Big Cartel allows you to basically have a standalone store. You know, like Etsy is kind of like a marketplace really. You can look up other artists' work while you're having a look at somebody's store. Whereas Big Cartel, basically you have to work a little harder on SEO and marketing, but you know, I think it's worth it now. It's really unfortunate that Etsy's fees are so high these days, so I just hadn't realised till quite recently, and was kind of horrified at how much they take. So I'll link below to my new store, or you can Google basically Clay Disarray and Big Cartel, and that should take you to the store. So here I'm just adding further detail to David's coat, and I'm really pleased how this is looking actually. I really like a coat with a lot of detail, so it's a really nice excuse to work on that. And now I can work on his vampire mullet. I've mentioned a few times how long it takes to do hair. It's probably one of my favourite things to work on because, you know, it helps a character come to life really. Or, you know, whatever the version of life is for a vampire. And I'm quite pleased with the likeness going on here. I was fully anticipating not getting any likeness whatsoever, and while it's not 100%, I think you can definitely tell who the character's supposed to be, so you know, that's all that matters to me really. So I'm giving him some good old Billy Idol spikes on his hair. And yeah, it's coming together quite nicely, isn't he? So I'll just continue with that for a little further. And so yeah, he's pretty much all done now. So now I can bake him for the last time. And here he is in all of his vampiric glory. I have to say, I'm pretty pleased with this one. I wasn't anticipating it to come out so well, if I'm honest. I'm going to try and get a Lost Boys fan arts poster done before the end of my Halloween countdown, so that can be added in. So come follow me on Twitter or on Instagram to see that when it's done. So yeah, thanks for watching, happy Halloween, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.